All right. Well, here we are, our first ever Remo. I see my speakers and I see all of our attendees. Feel free if you are on Twitter, tweet out the Remo link. And we have an amazing event tonight. This is our first Remo, so I am gonna share my screen here. Let's we go. All right. So again, this is our first Remo. So please, bear with us as we get through some of the bugs here. But we are super excited to have you all back for our 2021 Q2 Raleigh-Durham Tableau user group. We're so excited to have with us tonight. We have both Amber Boaz and our very own Raleigh native Kevin Taylor. They'll be talking with us later in the evening about Tableau and Salesforce and all the amazing things that this new partnership is going to bring. So I'm not going to steal any of their thunder. You have to stay tuned. But first, right after this quick introduction, we're going to have our student Viz contest. So we will have all of our contestants, the top 4 contestants from our student Viz contest, will get on and they will show their Viz. They will talk a little bit about what they found out in the sports data world, and then all of us on the leadership team will be providing some feedback so that we can help them and help you as you go through your next, either if you're doing the Iron Viz feeder, which is live now for Iron Viz 2021 at TC21. Highly recommend participating in that. And then if you or even if you're not, if you're just creating a dashboard for work, we'll give you some helpful tips and tricks for creating those dashboards yourself. And then we are thankful to be sponsored by Deutsche Bank. And so we will have David Miller from Deutsche Bank get on later after the Student Viz contest to tell us about all of the awesome things that Deutsche Bank is doing with data and analytics and Tableau. So that's me. I'm Christopher Scott. You will see me and the rest of our leadership team throughout the evening. But without further ado, I want to go ahead and turn it over to our contestants. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to take a look at our contestants. So I'm going to invite our first contestant. We're going to do this in alphabetical order. So our first contestant is Anna, and I'm going to add you to our stage, Anna. Oh, I'm sorry, Marit. Marit is going to get on, and before Anna, we do want you to present your Viz. So before you get on, Marit's going to come on, and Marit is going to show us and tell us about this contest. What's it all about? So Marit, take it away.
Yes, Chris, can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. Yeah, so we kicked off this contest earlier this year, and we had done a similar contest back in August of last year. The focus for this one was, though, that this one was student-focused, so we were gearing it towards students, trying not to have this contest overlap with their finals, and we saw a lot of students participate in this Viz contest, which was nice to see. And then, yeah, so basically, we had chosen a topic, and the topic was sports. And then from there, the people who were submitting their Vizes were able to choose any data source that they wanted. That way they could find something that they were interested in and create a dashboard based on that data. And so with that, we're going to see the 4 finalists that we've chosen. And Anna, I'm going to hand it over to you to present your dashboard.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and thanks to the committee for selecting this topic. And for me, it's really, really relevant, especially this month, because we have the Euro 2020 soccer tournament. And my Viz is about U.S. soccer national teams. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, making sure that everybody can see.
Hey, Chris, we can't hear
I see
Anna.
you, but I don't hear you, Anna.
My mic is on.
Yeah, now it is. Now it's back
Now I
on.
hear you.
You're good.
You got it? Is this better?
Yeah, I can hear you. And I can see
Okay.
the Viz. We're good.
All right, great. So I tackled national teams, and I went with a descriptive approach. At first, as I was kind of going through the data from various sources, including Statista, Kaggle, Wikipedia, both Olympic Games and FIFA World Cup websites, I gathered over like 24 different source files. And I thought that I was going to have enough time to go through a more like argumentative approach, which would focus on the inequality of pay between the two teams and compare the performance as well of each individual team. But I soon realized that the data sets were really not equal in nature, and there was a lot of stuff that I needed to analyze, test my hypothesis. So that's going to be like a future project. That said, I ended up merging a lot of different data sets together, aggregating them. And I did a lot of manual work where I would have to look at like the individual games played on tournament sites and Wikipedia in order to get the right data and consistent data for both teams. And I have a total of 5 worksheets relating them in very specific ways in order to show the information as consistent, as balanced as possible. So I started out with basically pen and paper, 5 big A3 size sheets of paper where I jotted down my thoughts, my opinions. I brainstormed a little bit. I ended up doing a wireframe on paper too. Off the bat, I knew that I wanted to present both summary level data as well as individual information for each of the teams. And yeah, so this is what I came up with. And I need to note that the inspiration for the design for this per section, the header information, I got from Thomas Varga, and I have actually put the link to his wonderful visualization attached to my Viz as well. So he gets credit for that top part, which I really find to be neat and very clean. So I basically am prompting or inviting the user to take a look at the performance of these 2 wonderful teams and their progress throughout the World Cups. I provide a little bit of information about what the focus of the data viz is, along with a short timeline at the very beginning of how both of these teams were established in either tournament. So my objective here is to make it as clear as possible. You know, when you click on either of these logos, the Olympic Games or FIFA World Cup, you get the appropriate host countries showing below. And then so the thing is, like, I'm using these little Bart Simpson hands here in order to help folks navigate. Clicking on an event straight away would prompt you, hopefully, to click on the relevant host country flag below and the year that the Olympic Games in this example were hosted, so year 2000. This is running a little slower. I don't know, maybe it's probably a band. Tested it earlier, it ran pretty quickly. So I'm hoping it'll render fairly quickly here. So when I started out as this is rendering, when I started out the Viz, I actually had like a 1990s theme going on in terms of the design. So this is my 5th version of everything, and it does not seem to be cooperating for some reason. So as that is rendering, there we go. So clicking on the flag should actually fill out all of the information in the middle screen. There we go. Okay, so on the left-hand side is the summary here, grayed out. This is left at this level on purpose. So, and it interchanges based on which of the 2 logos one selects. And I have used 2 action filters that look at what the logo selection is and then show the summary level information, but it does information blank until somebody goes and selects the flag for the host country in games. So looking over at the summary level information, there's some really basic bar graphs and line charts happening here. And I decided that not to focus so much on the analysis, which I did actually aggregate in the data source itself, because my focus was on creating a nice design, have a good flow to it as much as possible, and help to build a story inadvertently. I really don't want to make other people's opinion kind of jive with mine in terms of, how each team performs and what kind of awards they get. But if you click on the items, you'll see that, whereas the women's team has really, really outperformed the men's team, for example, in the 2000 Olympics, their overall earnings would below the men's. Like these kind of examples that one can actually see at a greater level when you're looking at FIFA World Cup, for example. So, again, I'm rendering this information. I wish it wasn't that slow. So I mentioned that I did some action filter work here that basically shows the data, what logo, what tournament, and what host country you've selected. And there's some other neat things that I've done with regard to, like, for example, if one of the teams won a gold medal or won the champions winning trophy for a FIFA World Cup, then image of the trophy shows up in the middle, and then there's like a little arrow pointing to the left or the right depending on which team won. This is not going as fast as I wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and make an example here. I'm going to click on the World Cup that was hosted in France and Russia. Now for the World Cup, because the two tournaments, the female and the male tournaments actually differ, there's a 1-year difference as to when they're hosted. I decided to use custom shapes for a lot of the things I've done here in order to show that information together and make it easier for the user to scroll through. One other thing that I like about this Viz is that I kind of try to humanize the data by adding images to the tooltips. And then if you click on the for that particular player, there's also an information that takes you directly to the relevant Wikipedia entry. So I don't want to spend too much time going over anything else, but I do want to mention that I do like the design part of what I've done. I like the colors, the clean look that I'm getting from it, the fact that I'm using the images as filters to filter the rest of the Viz. Something that I do know that there's room for improvement is that when somebody does click on either of the logos before they've selected a flag, I would have liked to have done in the detail area here, where you see the USMNT and USWNT details, to have a better, a smarter prompt. So that, now that this is blank, that means that you have to click on a flag or a host country in order to view the details. Yeah, I think that's about it. And I'd like to thank my 6 friends and colleagues who actually assisted me in testing the user experience. So without their help, I would not have reached this particular conclusion. That's all I got.
Hey, Anna. I loved this Viz. Thank you so much for participating in the contest and competing and doing all this work. 5 iterations, all these data sets you mentioned. Really awesome. I really liked this Viz was so historical. I haven't been to a sporting event in quite a while, and looking at the FIFA dates and seeing, oh yeah, Meg Rapinoe, had all those points in 2019, 2018. Like, oh, I remember when that was really like big in the news, and that just seems like such a long time ago. And looking at how much more performant the U.S. women's soccer team is compared to the men's women's soccer team in both FIFA and Olympics, I was like, wow, that's a really powerful story. So I really like that about your Viz. There's a lot of depth there, and there's a lot to come away from with it. And it's really easy to use because you had those floating buttons. I really like that. If I had to change anything, I would have put a big, huge American flag on it because I didn't realize for like 3 minutes until I looked into it that I was like, oh, this is all comparing to the U.S. soccer team, even though it says it, even though it's got the red, white, and blue. I was distracted by the iconography of the different years and the countries in the top, that I was like trying to compare those countries to the content. I was like, is this America? Is this United States? Or is this like two teams competing at the bottom? But then, as I started to look around, explore, I started to figure that out. So just a precognitive cue could have been feedback there. But overall, I mean, this is just a wonderful viz. There's so many layers to it, so many directions to go into it, and this could be, this is my favorite viz.
Oh, I appreciate your comments. I love that visual cue. That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
All right. Next up, we have Bhargavi, and Paul will be introducing Bhargavi, I guess.
Let Bhargavi. Here we go. All right.
Turn my camera off, and Bhargavi, you're me on the stage.
All right, Bhargavi, come on up.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you so much for choosing me as a finalist in our DUTAG Student Viz Contest. I just want to share my screen, so I'm just going to do that quickly. Okay. Okay. I hope you're able to see my screen again, just to make sure. So yeah, just wanted to walk you guys through my presentation. Today I'm going to share my inspiration process for designing the dashboard and also include a brief demo of my Viz. So basically in my inspiration, I entered this contest so that I can learn new techniques and that are implemented in the Tableau, and also to challenge myself. And I was inspired to choose the tennis data set, and basically to explore it more and to learn more about it. And also inspired to create a Viz that has really few less records of data. And wanted to break the myth that, only if you have a huge data set, you can develop a Viz. And then working my way forward with the design process, I really played around with these three main tips or the steps. That is gathering the requirements, outlining a dashboard template, and then developing an impactful dashboard. So for the first step, that is gathering the requirements, I basically understood the purpose of the project, how I want to take these tennis data set and compare the achievements of the two players. And then what I did was I worked my way up to outlining the dashboard template. So I always recommend following sketching a layout, and that helps you design the Viz better and also helps you develop the graphical concepts by sketching the layout. So after that, I work my way up on developing the dashboard. So going quickly to my demo. So in this dashboard, I really built 6 bar charts. And each of the bar chart gives me total tournaments won by each of the player, 3 indicating the total tournaments won by Roger Federer and Nadal each. And also the donut chart really gives me an insight of how many tournaments they won totally for each of the player. if a user directly sees the donut chart, they really get an understanding that both of them have won almost the same tournaments, and they both are really same kind of players. But when you drill down into details and look at their bar charts is when you realize that Nadal is king of clay, and also Roger Federer is a classic player. And again, I also provided interactivity. So there are logos for each of the tournaments, so you can hover on it to understand more about their statistics. And finally, it's, I left it to the user to decide who is the greatest of all times, and also provided their ranking details. So yep, that's about it. And thank you so much for the opportunity again.
All right, well done, Bhargavi. Hi, everyone. I'm Paul McHale. I manage the Tableau COE at Red Hat. I'm one of the leaders in the group, but I just take credit, really. The rest of the team, Chris, Jesse, and Marit, do all the work. But Bhargavi, I loved your Viz. I really appreciate the cleanness of that Viz. I mean, it is crisp. It pops. I love the layout. You put the icons in there for the 4 Grand Slams. You put the pictures of the 2 players, and you fit it all into a concise space, and you did it without detracting from the data. So you made it attention grabbing, but you still highlighted the message you wanted to get across. So I love that. I train in Tableau quite a bit, and I do a lot of feedback stuff with Red Hatters and to get things into production. And I've got a hard and fast rule against donut charts, but I love yours, and yours would go into production at Red Hat. They just so clearly sway one way or the other, and they tell exactly the story you want it to. So I love the way you use those. And if I were looking at this and just trying to improve it, just where it can, because it really is a great Viz, 2 or 3 things, kind of like one's in the middle of the other 2, that I would update. I love your icons and the highlight action, but one thing that just causes one of those little like hiccups, like did I see what I think I just saw? The icons and the bars are in a different order. So I would align those. So if you're going to stick with those vertical bars, align the icons and the bars so that you go seamlessly left to right in unison, versus they're in a different order. But then another thing about the bars, if you're going to stick also with the vertical, it's just going across the page, not all 3 levels, but where the sets of bars are on the same level. Sync those axes, right? So that a bar that's like 102 tall and a bar on the other side for Federer is 117, they don't appear the same height, right? So give a little bit of comparison, especially in the appearances column. They kind of look like 8 bars relatively the same length, but the 4 biggest bars really are all on Federer's side. But then I think my last tip that kind of gets around both of those things and might improve the look of the Viz is to go with horizontal bars, right? Maybe point Federer's bars inward, which would be to the right, and Nadal's bars inward to the left, and get a little bit of symmetry around those circles. But anyway, I mean, you can make any one or all 3 of those changes, but I love what you did, and congrats. So, I mean, congrats just for participating, but for building this. Really well done.
Thank you so much, Paul. Appreciate your feedback. I'll surely take it into consideration and work on it.
Again, Bhargavi, and I will invite.
Fantastic.
Yep, I'm sorry. I will invite our third, Jake Orangel, who has the whole family here to root you on, Jake. So let me invite you up to the stage. There we go. Sorry, I keep hitting the chat thinking that I'm going to get. All right. Jake, you're up, buddy. Welcome. We can't hear you.
Now? Still no?
Yep. You're good. Can you hear me? Yes, you are good. Nope, now you're off. I'm going to go on mute and then.
Jake, you're muted. I can see that. You're still muted. No, you're not muted, but can you try and say something? I can't hear you.
Nope.
No, I still see you, but I don't hear you. Maybe you switched your audio first just now or something.
Muted. Yeah, you're muted. You muted yourself.
Might-
Now,
You might have to select your microphone. There's a mic
You're
on and mic off
there you
button.
go. Okay.
Right next to the mic on, mic off button, there's a select microphone.
Hold on. You're good. You're good.
Oh, yep,
There.
that's it. You're good.
Yep.
Now
Yes, perfect.
you can hear me. I cannot hear you. I can.
Oh.
So I'm getting. If you can hear me, that's good. Just know that I unfortunately cannot hear. I'll switch back for the feedback part, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. My name is Jake Orengel. I am going to go ahead and share.
You're on mute again.
Hey, Jake, your microphone turned off when you started sharing your screen. Your microphone is off. Like that.
All right. Jake. Yep. And Jake, you're still on mute. We can't reach him. There you go.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes,
You can hear me now?
when you shared your screen, it turned off the mic, so I can hear you
All
now.
right. I'll just go straight to
turn
the
on
Viz.
the chat.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. No worries.
Chris, can you share just in case that the screen sharing
I will.
has it messed
Yep.
up?
That's fine. Chrome tab. I got you. Got you right here. All right.
I'm so sorry for these technical difficulties. I tested it on Zoom last night and it was working. This was my first time using Remo, and
Yeah.
clearly something about my computer, I haven't figured out how to interact with it yet.
No worries.
But basically, this is my dashboard. I wanted to make something that was intuitive to use, not just for people on this call that have used Tableau a lot before, but for anyone to be able to just go and work it. And so all you need to do in order to find the shot chart of any game across 9 Hurricanes seasons is to click on the opponent. So I can't hear, but if someone wants to shout out an opponent that they want to be facing, if Chris could just pick it.
See the Blackhawks.
And then
Go Islanders.
Oh,
Islanders. All right. Where's the?
And then I'll pick a date, whichever one. And so now you see from when the Hurricanes played the Islanders, on May 3rd, the shot chart, you can easily see that the Hurricanes won 5-2 just by kind of counting out the circles. And when you hover over each one, like Chris is doing for me now, you can see the date, the description. So for goals, who scored, who got the assist, and how the period and time remaining help inform when the goals happened. Basically, my process, I found a play-by-play data set on Kaggle of all NHL hockey games from the 2010 to 2019 season, and I used RStudio. That's what I have done most of my work in, that I was discussing a little bit earlier. But basically, my process was, I started with the math because I knew that that was an important piece, and if I wasn't able to do that, I didn't think that the Viz would have a wow factor. And so I started there, and then basically my process, I would say, was a little bit different. I was just trying to think of, once I got it on Tableau, I would just, anything I wanted to try and make a little bit better, I would think, can I do this in Tableau? Yes or no, can I do this in R? And so a lot of these variables that are used here, I used R in order to help me change the nature of the data. So it was really a team effort between RStudio and Tableau. And yeah, I'm happy with how it came out. If not for my internship mentor last summer, Liam Wolf, I would not know how to do the things on the dashboard that I think help make it look pretty. With all the teams have their own color that come from one of the team colors using like an eyedrop Chrome extension, and just the formatting. He was a big help in showing me how to do a lot of these things. There are some issues. One issue that I want to call out, because that goal on the right is not, there is an issue with overtime game-winning goals, unfortunately. And that's something that, unlike the regulation shots, I wasn't able to figure out how to flip. It's just that the overtime game-winning goals seem to be a little bit off. But other than that,
no, it's great.
I'm going to switch over to the headphones that I could hear from and not talk from.
All right. Yeah, no worries. I'll let you switch over. And can you hear me, Jake? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? A lot of you are too young to remember that commercial. Can you hear me, Jake? Thumbs up? No. Okay, Jesse got it. All right. Sorry. We'll give you your feedback. For those of you that can hear me, I mean, this is just a fantastic Viz. Lots of great things on here. I'll talk to Jake offline. but I did think one thing that could have added to the analysis to make it perfect was just adding the score. Can you hear me, Jake, with everything off? Oh, well. Okay. All right. We will move on. Thanks again, Jake, for your participation here. Fantastic Viz, especially for Canes fans. And Kenneth, morning, fellow Enact employee. All right. Welcome, Kenneth. And you are up.
Awesome. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Hey everyone. So my name is Kenneth Morning. I'll be sharing my Viz today. Get that going. And oh, okay. So minimize.
We can't hear you. Nope.
Yeah, y'all should be able to see that.
Yep. Yeah, you're good now. Awesome.
Awesome. So yeah, my name is Kenneth Morning. So this is my dashboard. I based it off of lacrosse. So I played lacrosse in high school and into just sports that I thought would be interesting. I was trying to do golf, and then I realized I knew nothing about golf. And so then I was like, let's do a sport that I know a little bit more about. So this dashboard is focused on Major League Lacrosse in comparison to Premier Lacrosse League. And so where I kind of got, we'll start in the beginning where I got my inspiration. I realized that Major League Lacrosse and Premier Lacrosse League are both not huge industries and not a ton of players, not a ton of attendance in comparison to, the NBA, NFL. But I did compare the two. As you can see, this dashboard, I designed it a bit off of ESPN. I find that, ESPN, Apple, all these, I find them so intriguing that thousands, millions of people go there a day, and yet people keep. I figured, if they do it right, maybe so could I. So this is my dashboard. I designed it off of ESPN. My first draft, once again, like I mentioned before, was based off of golf. But then I figured out, after I got this lacrosse data, in order for me to get that said data, I went to Wikipedia, the actual lacrosse league pages. They had attendance data there that I was able to grab, and a few other data that I was able to kind of put to the sideline. And the way I wanted to divvy this out was just, I wanted it to be a snapshot, right? So if you want to look at a certain year, so year 2008, if you were to click this, it would tell you where it was at in Massachusetts, the venue, the score, the game MVP, and the team. I thought it was just a really cool way to get as much data as you can in one, click of a button, figure out what year you were looking at, if that was of interest to you. And then as well, right over here, and I have the teams. I have the team logos, and then you can hover over them, and it would showcase the year that they played. I think there could have been some more implementation there, but that was as far as I get. Some quick stumbling blocks that I came across. There was a lot where this chart over here, I think the data was really hard to get in, and I don't know if any of y'all have done like a cyclical chart like this, but it was a pain. But I had a ton of fun making it and figuring it out, and I think Google was my best friend at the end of the day. Some additional data I wish I had. I think it's cool to see just kind of where the trend goes and maybe do some forecasting. But I also think it shows a story, right? In 2020, COVID hit and there were no games for any sport. So I think it just kind of shows the drop off. But real quick, trying to just go through this, as you can see there, it's almost scattered. The Major League Lacrosse is the gray. But then once the league shot up, they had almost double the attendance just the 1 year that they were around. And that's to pay tribute to, it's a new thing. People are excited, but also they're going to build upon the previous leagues and make it better. So that was my data. As you can see, there's game location up here. But overall, I just thought lacrosse was a fun sport, and I was excited to, try my hand at this. So thank you to the RDU team and for letting me participate. I had a ton of fun, and I thought I learned so much from it. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kenneth, for participating. So I really like this dashboard. The couple things that I really liked about this were the use of color. So I liked how you use different shades of gray and red just to kind of be very consistent across the dashboard. I also liked the logos that you used and the icons. It was very easy to see on first glance that this is lacrosse. Sometimes with some dashboards, it's hard to see which sport it is, but it was very clear in this one. One thing that I would maybe work on or look into is the graph, the bottom right graph that you were talking about. You were saying was kind of complex to create. I think it looks really cool. It's just a little hard to understand it on the first glance. So maybe if there's maybe a better way to represent that, maybe a different kind of graph to use, or if you could have other graphs next to it that kind of explain that. But all in all, it was a really good dashboard that we all liked.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and announce the winners. Unless, Chris, you had anything else to say? I was going to just, okay. Okay, we can do a drum roll. So, perfect. So with that, I'm going to start with 4th place and then go all the way to 1st place. So with that, in 4th place, we have Kenneth. So congrats, Kenneth. 3rd place, we had Jake. And then 2nd place, we had Bargavi. So nice job, Bargavi. And that leaves us with 1st place and winner, Anna. Nice job.
Woo!
Woo!
Congrats, everybody.
So those are the top 4, and then we also gave out 4 different prizes for. So one prize is for storytelling, one is for best use of data, best UI, and best UX. So best storytelling we gave to Anna. Woo! Congrats. So we like that your dashboard told a story with history. The best use of data we gave to Jake. So we liked how you plotted the data points, and the color coding is very interactive. So that's why we gave you the best use of data category. The best UI we gave to Kenneth. So we loved your color choices and the icons. We thought that really helped with your dashboard. And then for best UX, we gave this prize to Bargavi. So we liked the binary donut charts in your dashboard. And with that, I believe, unless anybody else has anything to say about the awards, I was going to hand it over to David Miller from Deutsche Bank. He's going to talk about Deutsche Bank. I'm also at Deutsche Bank. He happens to be my manager. Yeah, Dave Miller will talk about Deutsche Bank and maybe how we use Tableau at Deutsche Bank as well. Go ahead, Dave.
Thanks, Mart. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So yes, thanks, Mart. Hello, everyone. My name is Dave Miller from Deutsche Bank, and we are very happy to be able to contribute to this contest, and I'm thankful to be given the opportunity to speak about our technology center we have here in Cary, North Carolina. We're actually located right off of Weston Parkway in Cary, and we have been here this is our 12th year, believe it or not. And yes, we are a bank, Deutsche Bank. We're a German bank, but here in Cary, we are 100% IT. Our primary focus is agile software development with some infrastructure support and end user technology engineering. On the slide here, you can see a picture of our facility, our campus that we have here in Cary. We're a sole occupant of one building, so that's where this is where the day-to-day operations, right, and the staff are located. We also have training rooms in another building, and then a development lab in a 3rd building. It was normal workspace, but we converted it into a dev lab in 2019, where we use for innovation, collaboration, and learning activities. There's also a cafe and gym on site that's open to everyone, and we have a large green area where we have events quite often. Currently, we have 650 total headcount. We have a very diverse book of work. So we support 27 different CIO groups, which are essentially different business lines within the investment bank and corporate bank. There's 70 teams across those groups, supporting almost 300 applications. And by support, it's development, right? So development activities. There's almost 1,500 production releases the teams work on a year. Again, we're very agile delivery frameworks being used throughout. And like I mentioned, we're a software development shop, right? So 86% of our staff are engineers and almost 80% are committing code regularly. And actually, this is quite an exciting time for IT within Deutsche Bank and Cary, right? Specifically right now. Last year there were 2 very significant strategies that were announced that are going to impact us in a very positive way for the years to come. First, the Global Tech Center strategy was announced, which basically defined 4 strategic tech centers, one in the US, which is Cary, and then we have other ones in Pune, Moscow, and Bucharest. And the strategy defines that 70 to 80% of all the engineering work to be done at one of these locations. So there's a lot of work, projects, programs to move over the next several years, which means that we'll be growing. The second significant event was in December, actually, of last year, where Deutsche Bank announced a partnership with Google, where we will be migrating and transitioning all of our applications, which globally is over 3,000, right? So there's a lot more than what we currently have here in Cary to GCP Cloud. So we're in the process now of learning, essentially, right? So almost a third of our staff are in some type of learning activity for GCP. So we're building up our, our knowledge and certifications across the location, which is very exciting. And we look forward to that in the years to come. And we should even be able to hopefully start by the end of this year, migrating some of the applications that are first in scope for that. Another thing I just really wanted to highlight was our engineering culture, right? So we've been around for 12 years, and this is something that we've been, maturing and developing. Mart is actually a key contributor in this space. Is just, the culture around, the location. So we have, many different groups, but it really isn't siloed, around any of these activities. There's a lot of, employee-led groups that span across all the different teams. Things like hackathons, right? They are very popular. There's global competitions we have within Deutsche Bank. There's regional ones. There's even individual ones, and they get a lot of contribution. Cary, over the years has been quite successful in those. We have communities of practice, on various, themes. Tableau being one of them. We have Python, Azure, Scala, Python. So a lot of different technical communities of practice across the location. We have something that we call Tech Academy. So this is like local SME, so employee developed curriculum and trainings that are offered across the site. We have our own type of badges, right, and recognition that we do for those. We have design reviews. Again, a lot of this stuff happens within the dev lab, where they're non-punitive reviews where teams can get their design and prototypes looked at, by another group for feedback. So a lot of exciting stuff happening. We're really, looking to build our capabilities, right? A lot of excitement around the GCP space. And, we're very happy right now that, we are hiring, right? So we have over 100 positions that we still need to fill this year. There'll be more coming in next year. Majority, we're looking for hands-on coders. There are, of course, some Tableau positions as well, right? That has been, I would say, a very large percentage of the teams, right, have an element of Tableau dashboards or reporting built into them. At Deutsche Bank, it's a global company, right? So yeah, your immediate team might be here local, but you work across the globe, right? So there's a lot of opportunities, that come with that. We offer very competitive salary. We have good benefits, right? I've worked actually out of our Cary location here, our New York location and London location. And something that I really like about Cary is, you get all the benefits of working for a big company and bank, but it really has like that small company type of feeling and community around it, which is very great. So if anyone's interested in a position, right, you think you might qualify, or if you have friends, right, who are looking, engineers, coders, developers, my contact information is on here, right? That's my work email. You can look me up on LinkedIn, right, and reach out, and we can make a connection there. So really, just to close, I would just like, thank you one more time for giving me a spot, right, on the agenda today. And, just wanted to say great job to the 4 finalists and your Vizes that you produced. They were really nice to see those presentations. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for your time.
I see 4 future Deutsche Bank employees right there. You can't have Ken. I'm sorry, you can't have Kenneth. All right. Well, without further ado, thanks again, Dave. Thank you, Marit, for hosting a second Viz contest. We're super excited to have all the rest of the year to plan and everything. But without further ado, we've got a wonderful presentation now, just all about Salesforce and Tableau. And so Amber and Kevin, if you want to, I'm not going to sing like Elsa, show yourselves. I thought about it for a split second, but there will be no singing on this one, unlike last quarters. There you go. You're on mute. We missed it. Oh, shucks. All right. Well, Amber, you are up. I will stop sharing my
share my screen. So an interloper like me crash your user group meeting here. So my name is Amber Boaz, and I am waiting for Google Slides to load. There we go. I am CRM platform owner at Rapid7. I'm a huge Salesforce nerd. I'm not an employee of Salesforce, but I am a Salesforce MVP, as evidenced by my sparkly shirt. And I run a couple of the local Salesforce user groups. So I will talk more about those here shortly. So as a function of the acquisition of Tableau by Salesforce, you are now part of the Trailblazer community. I don't know how much y'all know about this, but this is a group, this is 1,800 groups worldwide, I believe. There's everything from nonprofit community groups to women in tech community groups to developer community groups. It's all over the world. It's a great, those events, when they happen in person and or online, depending upon COVID, great place to learn, connect with folks, have a really good time. Us Salesforce people are partiers. I mean, we are fun, and give back. So helping folks who are younger in the community, that sort of thing. So let's talk for a minute about kind of the timeline of products and acquisitions. This is a very busy, I did not build this slide, so please don't judge me, data viz people. I stole this slide, but this shows kind of how Salesforce has grown, some by acquisition, some by development, over the course of its lifetime. So you'll notice that Datorama, Tableau, Velocity are there in the 2019-2020 timeframe. But there's been a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of organizations that have come into the Salesforce fold, if you will, as a function of acquisition. So, and the level of integration is sometimes amazing and sometimes not great. As a data point, this Marketing Cloud acquisition here in 2012, 2013, that's formerly known as ExactTarget and Pardot. So Pardot stayed a standalone product, ExactTarget as a brand went away and is now Marketing Cloud. So do with that information what you will, but I wanted to show you kind of this timeline. So for every Salesforce presentation you're going to go to, you're going to see this wheel a lot. This is the Customer 360, and it talks about the clouds, so the Sales Cloud, the Service Cloud, the Marketing Cloud. Each of these clouds contributes to the whole 360 marketing message from Salesforce. So Analytics Cloud, you may notice we have a little Tableau logo here. So being a part of this whole is a huge part of their marketing message, is a huge part of, talking about how organizations can leverage this platform to increase the stuff they want to increase and decrease the stuff they want to decrease. I don't pretend to know what each organization wants, but you'll also see stuff about, the experience, intelligence, single source of truth, and then this new Hyperforce hotness that I don't know enough to speak to, but I hear it's amazing. So why the Tableau acquisition is, so there are reporting gaps in standard Salesforce. There are some things that Salesforce reports can do. There are a lot it can't. As an example, one of the things that Salesforce reports can't do is ad hoc joins. As an administrator, I have to create all of the joins ahead of time for my users who are writing reports. Ain't nobody got time for that. It's a gigantic pain. Some of the other pieces are the cloud versus on-premise, right? So Salesforce finally figured out that not everybody's going to be all cloud all the time, that there are plenty of on-premise data sets. They're going to be there forever. So having Tableau that can get to that data and do things with it is useful. And analyze all the data. We got a lot of data. Let's analyze it. We need to make decisions on it. So I am super excited about this marriage here. So let's talk about the types of data that could be in Salesforce. So keep in mind, Salesforce is fundamentally a CRM, customer relationship management, but it's also a platform. So you can store anything you want in Salesforce. You shouldn't, but you can. So the stuff that could be there, customer demographic and firmographic data, fax numbers, numbers of employees, addresses, DUNS numbers, that kind of thing. Sales data, so leads, opportunities, quotes, campaigns, orders, assets, subscriptions, that kind of thing. Service data, so customer cases. I call, my cable's out, they file a case for me, I get a case number, there's an SLA associated with it. Well, it's a cable company, they never resolve it on time, but you get my point. Looking at service contracts, looking at SLAs, etc. And then usually miscellaneous stuff, product usage statistics. How many times did Amber click on the thing? I don't know. And or customer log files. So again, really anything can be stored in Salesforce. The question of whether or not it should is another story. So this is the type of data that you could see in a Salesforce org. Here's this type of stuff that usually isn't. And I say usually because sometimes it is to varying degrees of success. So usually you're not storing transactional marketing data, mostly because of volume. You do not want to store every time Joe Smith opened every email and the date time of it. You just don't want to do that. That's not useful information to store in Salesforce. Usually you don't see ERP type data. You don't see general ledger data. Those are things that happen in other systems and either inform or are informed by Salesforce. You'll hear a lot about the integrations with MuleSoft, that kind of thing. So usually this type of data isn't in Salesforce. I keep saying usually because I can't emphasize enough that it's not necessarily a given. So let me talk a bit about the branding with Einstein. So you're going to see Einstein plastered all over things. It's really quite cute, honestly. So Salesforce Einstein, per the marketing material, is the first comprehensive AI for CRM. In the marketing material, separating analytics from AI is sometimes very fuzzy. So you're going to see Einstein tacked on to some of the analytics stuff in a way that can be confusing to non-data nerds. So just know that you're going to see Einstein a lot, and sometimes they mean AI and sometimes they mean analytics. So just word to the wise, just know that's the thing. All right, that's cool, Amber. I mean, great, that's awesome, yay, but I want to play with it. How do I get my hands on this thing? This sounds amazing. You've convinced me, you've sold me. So you're in luck. You can sign up, and we're going to go through the process right now, for a free developer org. I'm going to share these slides with everybody so you'll have all these links. This developer org is free forever. I believe if you don't use it for 6 months, they recycle it, but you can use it forever. So you go to developer.salesforce.com/sign up. You fill in the form. Usernames have to be in the form of an email address, but they don't have to be a working email address. And what you pick for role and company clearly doesn't matter because Amber's underwater basket weaving isn't an actual C Corp. Check the box that you agree with the MSA. Click sign me up. It's going to send me to a screen that tells me thank you so much. All right, so now I'm going to send it to my email. So let's go to my inbox because we're feeling brave. And we wait for it to load. This is where the live demo gremlins get us. This isn't going to happen tonight. All right, while we're waiting on that, let me talk through what Trailhead is. So Trailhead is a free way to learn Salesforce. And I have created what's called a trail mix. Think of it like a mixtape or a Spotify playlist, for those of you who are younger, of modules within Salesforce to help folks learn Salesforce. And so the link to this is also in my slides. And also, while we're waiting for this to load, this may not happen tonight, y'all. We have a local, I'm going to pimp my user group. I hope this is okay. So we have a local Salesforce Saturday where a group of us get together at the Starbucks at the corner of 54 and 55. I think that's technically still Durham, but it's on the way to Cary. And we do Salesforce stuff together from 9 to 1 every Saturday. Come when you want, leave when you want. But that's a great way to meet and talk to other Salesforce nerds. I believe that was all I was going to talk about. Yes, hang out with other Salesforce nerds. I'm super excited to have had a chance to chat with y'all. Here are my socials and my email. Please reach out. I would love to connect further, and I will be around to answer any questions once Kevin has taught us all the things. So, Kevin, over to you.
All right. Give me just a moment here. I'm on camera right now, but I'm going to come off. I am burning up this laptop during this presentation. I tried to go ahead and refresh some things just now, but luckily that's the good part about going bad. When there's other technical challenges, I'm just going to join the party with y'all. So know that it happens just about every time we do this stuff. So I'm coming off. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know when you see a bright orange screen, please. Can y'all still see me? This is the tough part, right? All right, where is this? Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you and we see your screen.
Oh, life is so good. Life is so good. I feel like I'm batting 1,000 right now. So first off, I just want to say good afternoon to everybody. I've got about 35 minutes of content here. So if you're watching the clock, I'm going to get you out of here right about 6 o'clock. Then we're going to do some roundtable stuff if you still have time. But first off, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and speak with y'all and talk about this newer concept that Tableau's coined as business science. For anybody I'm having the pleasure of meeting for the very first time, as this slide suggests, my name is Kevin Taylor, and I'm a principal solutions engineer at Tableau. It is a dream job. I've been with Tableau now about 5 years. For those local here, I actually live in Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina. Grew up there in Cary, North Carolina, so that was really cool seeing all that. But I've been with Tableau about 5 years, a little over 5 years. But before joining Tableau, just like most of the people on the call, I was a customer for 7 years in fact, at companies like Cisco and NetApp here in the Research Triangle Park. And before I say anything else, first of all, the stuff I saw from the student competition, man, if I could do that 20 years ago, I'd be sailing off into the sunset by now. So great talent there. Secondly, thank you so much to Amber for that presentation there on Salesforce. Amber has such a ton of passion for the Salesforce platform. So I just love that. I love passion if y'all don't know me. But also the Salesforce platform obviously generates a ton of rich data to help paint that complete picture of your customer. You saw that in the slide in the wheel. So with that, Tableau CRM, Einstein Analytics, whatever you want to call it, the AI, right? They're all going to be at the center of that. And that story is going to continue to get bigger and it's going to get better as our engineers, both from the Tableau side and the Salesforce side, continue to weave magic and collaborate and deliver more integrated solutions like Einstein Discovery in Tableau. And that's what I'm going to be showing today. That's going to be the star of the demo. The goal here is going to be to show you how Tableau and Einstein, Tableau and Tableau CRM can help take the power of data science and put it into the hands of more people across your business, right? We want to scale. Now, quick forward-looking statement. You see this a lot when we present. I'm going to briefly talk about one concept, bring your own model, that's not generally available today. So that's going to be coming in a future release, hopefully. That is a very forward-looking statement I just made. So please don't make any purchase decisions based off of that statement. That would get me in a lot of trouble. So I've gone ahead and got that out of the way. But aside from the bring your own model, every single thing I'm going to show you today is available in 21.1. So back to my bright orange slide. Before I say one more word here, I want to squash a potential elephant in the room. In no way do I or does Tableau believe that this concept of business science is a replacement for data science or a replacement for data scientists. I'm a very big, firm believer in data science. I firmly believe that data scientists continue to be the unicorns in our industry. And yes, I do believe in unicorns. So I've got 2 7-year-old twin daughters. That's Kennedy on one. So I've seen it with my own eyes. But I'm going to let Kennedy ride off here. All jokes aside, we're going to talk about some of the differences between data science and business science. I'm going to talk about how it's not a one-size-fits-all approach and how certain use cases would benefit being on one side or the other. And it all depends on, what are your priorities? At the end of the day, the capabilities I'm going to show you here today help people just like me. I'm assuming many people on the call here today, people who may have deep business understanding, what we call business acumen. They also know their way around data. I don't know if anybody's read the book, The Secrets of Analytical Leaders by Wayne Eckerson, but he calls those type of people purple people, right? The red side knows the tech, the blue side knows the business, and you get the purple in the middle, right? But these purple people like me, don't necessarily have the skills that are required to be a data scientist, like the ability to code. So full transparency, This is my entire coding resume. So David's not going to hire me over there at Deutsche Bank. He said he wants coders. If you're like me and you can't code, or if you're not a professional coder, what I'm going to show you today is going to open up new doors. And I'm very confident about this. I've spent 22 years in business intelligence and analytics space myself. Never once have I had the ability to create a custom predictive model until now. So if you are a coder, call David, but more power to you. What I'm going to show you is hopefully capable of taking a lot of low-hanging fruit off your desk, the stuff that comes across your plate that either A, you just can't prioritize, or B, you have to prioritize because there's an executive's name on it, right? We want to help you focus on the high priority, high impact projects that require coding and the precision of true data science. One more slide here before we get into this concept of business science, and it's just a big thank you to all of you all. Not just for being customers, but being passionate customers, taking part in this community. You're all taking your time away from your work and your families right now. And I think the top picture here says it all, Data Fam. So I've been around the Tableau product in the community for 11, 12 years. That means I got to attend the very first RDU Tug. A couple of y'all were there. We were at the very creepy coffee shop in Chapel Hill, and we had some really good coffee and we got some really good stories. So when we get back together, we can share those. But what I'm most proud of is I've been able to attend the majority of these sessions since, and it's because of the bond. So there's people in here I've known most of it longer than some of my really close friends. So I think Data Fam says it all. So I wanted to say that thank you. It's heartfelt. I love this community. I haven't left it. I'm not going to leave it. But a whole lot less about me now, a whole lot more about Tableau, specifically the concept of Einstein discovery and predictions right inside of Tableau, and this concept of business science. So I know you've heard it before. I'm going to say it again. Why? Because it's the truth. Unless you're living under a rock since last March, you realize the world has changed and it continues to change. And it didn't really take the pandemic, but that certainly accelerated change, right? And businesses have changed and they continue to change. And to keep up with all this pace of change, we need to make faster and more accurate decisions, and we need to be agile. So in addition to the faster pace, guess what? The world's more complex too, right? We got employees in every single line of our business. They're trying to transform how they work, how they stay customer focused in this new highly digitized and work from anywhere world. These changes are not going anywhere either. So IT leaders, they need to be able to adapt. They need to be able to transform to these new business needs, to drive agility and to empower users to keep up with the pace of change. So how are companies going to do that? That comes in the form of AI, augmented and artificial intelligence. Take your pick. AI is no longer a nice to have, it's a must have. Down in the bottom right there, you got 86% of executives said that AI would be mainstream technology in 2021. You don't need to go to your calendar right now. 2021 has arrived. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 86% of executives were correct. In the same way that we used to rely on Rolodexes and databases and reporting tools in the past, we've now restarted to rely on AI to drive business success. Now, with all the digitization going on, data science teams are struggling with bandwidth. AI has proven, yes, useful, not so scalable, right? Unfortunately, there's just way too much data out there, way too many use cases to analyze it all at scale, even using a modern analytics platform like Tableau. Forget about it if you're using one of those dinosaurs that still linger around the industry. But this has resulted in slow analysis, even slower action. So what's causing the bottleneck with AI? To me, this is like deja vu. The problem is that AI is out of the reach of most people. It typically requires really deep, really technical level of analysis. And the only teams that are capable of these are those centralized data science teams. This sounds eerily familiar. I don't know if it does to anybody else, but to me, it sounds a lot like a decade ago, 12 years ago, maybe add another one in there. I don't remember exactly how many years ago, when Tableau came in and entirely disrupted a business intelligence space. Why? Because traditional BI tools lacked that ability to scale, and they required specialized IT teams just to build reports. That's where I'm feeling the deja vu. So often what we find in the field is that business users, those purple people I alluded to earlier, the analysts with the domain knowledge, the ones that are closest to the business, they're not empowered with the right tools, and they don't have the technical skills to do quote unquote advanced statistical analysis or to manage machine learning projects. So what do? They rely on data scientists. They rely on ML practitioners to build and deploy custom coded models. There's a lot of back and forth between the business and the builder. There's the requirements gathering process. It's like a game of telephone, right? In this process, we know it lacks agility. We know it lacks the ability to iterate quickly, and it's very expensive. So we need to reserve the true data science for those higher impact, higher priority business problems, again, that require the precision of data science. Now, meanwhile, the world continues to spin, and decision makers are challenged every single day with making critical decisions. And most of those use cases are not going to rise to the level of the priority level for a centralized data team to work on it. And this is why at Tableau, we believe we've come to that crossroads. It's time to expand AI beyond centralized data science teams, just like it was time to expand BI beyond centralized reporting 10 plus years ago. And how are we going to do this? We're going to do it through Tableau's business science concept. This is all about putting data science techniques and artificial intelligence safely into the hands of the people that know the business the best, helping you scale it. For us, business science is a category of AI-powered analytics that dramatically opens up data science capabilities for people like me who don't have coding skills to build things. This is what I'm going to demo today, like custom predictive models and simulation and scenario planning, clustering and on-demand models. And again, we're not just empowering the people across your business, we're also trying to free up your data science teams to tackle those larger scale, mission critical and highly repeatable problems. Now I'm going to go through each of these 4 squares when we get into Einstein Discovery, but it's simple and fast due to a no-code iterative environment. It's trusted, which means you can take action on it. That's important. And then it's fully integrated right into the Tableau workflow. Now, there will be times where data science is the right solution. There will be times where data science is the only solution and business science can't tackle the problem. That said, a highly precise model is not always required to answer every single business problem, nor is it even going to be the best solution if things like speed to insight, business knowledge are deemed more critical. As for use cases, whereas data science typically specializes in exploring data to fix ongoing, recurring, long-term problems with a team, things like fraud detection and price optimization, business science is more about optimizing specific business outcomes based on challenges where, again, experience, speed to insight, and business context are more critical. This is going to things like being able to reduce the amount of time it takes to close a sales deal in Salesforce, or maybe minimizing churn, customer churn, cardholder churn, subscriber churn. Churn is such a big one, and I'm going to use that right at the heart of our model today. So how is Tableau going to actually help customers bridge the gap? How are we going to help eliminate that bottleneck? The answer is through the integration of Einstein Discovery and Tableau. We released this earlier this year in 21.1. This is our very first product under the business science suite of tools. There are many more to come. I promise you, I'm biting my tongue today. I'm on a gag order. I've seen some of it this week. You're going to hear about it really soon. But with Einstein Discovery and Tableau, as I'm going to demo right in front of your eyes today, you can easily build and integrate predictive models without any code, put them right into your Tableau workflows, again, bringing AI safely into the hands of more people. Now, again, I told you simple, and I was going to go through those 3 squares. Here they are again. It's no-code machine learning. There's an easy-to-use model builder. You do not need to have a master's in advanced mathematical modeling from UNC. I assure you, I don't have one. It's point and click, which helps me. I'm a dragger and a dropper, and it's going to keep things fast and iterative. Maybe most important, in the middle there, it's all built on the foundation of ethical AI. This means you're going to be able to trust in the predictions and trust in the recommendations that we give so that you can take action. There's built-in bias protection. There's model performance monitoring. It's fully transparent so you can understand the model and why we're making the recommendations. So there's no black box. I'm going to show you that. You can even review the R model if that's what your data science team wants to do to sign off on it. Now, lastly here, it's integrated where you work. Insights aren't much good if you can't take action on them. So we're going to integrate them right into your existing Tableau workflows. No need to disrupt your analysis. One of the last slides here before I get into the demo. What is Einstein Discovery exactly? Well, it's an AI-powered, again, Amber showed some of that a moment ago. It's AI-powered analytics platform that enables business users to automatically detect and discover patterns in their data without writing code, without having to create sophisticated data models. Einstein's going to do that part for you. So no code machine learning, rapid prototyping, that's going to lead to being able to accelerate your model creation, your model deployment, your model monitoring, your model redeployment, and that's all going to bring scale to AI. And because Tableau is now part of Salesforce, Tableau customers like you are starting to reap the rewards of the marriage. I love that Amber used that exact same term, the marriage of these two companies. So none of the products that we compete against, again, none of the products we compete against, even the free puppy, especially the free puppy, are able to offer any such easy integration with powerful no-code machine learning. So we are the first to the market with the business science. Now, I've talked long enough about this concept of business science. What I want to do is bring it to life. I'm going to start out with a customer quote here really quickly. I don't know if there's anybody who happens to be on here from Verizon, but Verizon has embraced the predictive capabilities of Einstein, right? And they brought it right into their existing dashboards. That's critical. And again, not a single line of code to do it. So not only are they empowering more people, they're not reinventing the wheel. They don't need to recreate any of the amazing Tableau dashboards they've already built. They're just going to embed the Einstein predictions right into Tableau using our Einstein extension. Certainly somebody in the room is wondering this question. I get it every time. Will you be able to bring your own existing R models right into Einstein? Yes, you will in a upcoming release. Again, forward-looking statement. Please don't go buy Einstein based on bringing your own models in. But if all goes well, I don't have a crystal ball, but if all goes well, you'll be able to take the models your data science team has built over the past years, and you're going to be able to operationalize them and integrate them right into your Tableau workflows like we're going to do today. So that's coming in a very near release. Now, I didn't mention this earlier, but I support communications, media, and technologies here in the Southeast, hence the Verizon quote. So as we go into the demo here, I'm going to use fictitious telecom subscription data. So we all subscribe to like internet and phone services, just like, Verizon does all that. This is not Verizon's data. This is not Verizon's use case. The two just coincide. I wanted to make sure that quote was related. So as I demo today, here's the three, what do we call it? Innovations, right? We've got the dashboard extension. You're going to see that in play. The analytics extension that lets me create table counts, as well as Tableau Prep. And I'm going to go through all of these. I'm going to show you Tableau CRM, Einstein. We're going to explore some customer churn data. The end goal here is going to be to empower our customer success team with the intelligence and the ability to identify customers who have a higher risk of churn. What characteristics drive that customer churn? And maybe most importantly, what can my managers do to decrease the risk of customers churning in the future? How do I optimize that outcome? This demo is going to cover the full BI maturity model, everything from descriptive and diagnostic to predictive and prescriptive analytics, so that our customer success team can take action and optimize future outcomes. And to get us started, I'm going to start somewhere where we're all really, really comfortable. We're going to start off in Tableau Desktop so we can show you how Einstein and Tableau together are going to make this all possible, this concept of business science. So with that, I am finally coming out of the PowerPoint and getting to the fun stuff here. So please interrupt me if you don't see desktop right now, but you should be seeing Tableau Desktop. I'm going to try to address those questions I just talked about. Who's likely to churn, what's driving churn, and what can we do about it? I'm going to use Tableau first, purely Tableau to explore, so you can hopefully see where Tableau does well, but Einstein maybe does a little bit better, right? So I'm currently connected to this churned customers data that tracks which customers have or have not churned historically. And I might want to look at things like how many customers do we have? So we'll start there, and it looks like about a little over 7,000. I've got a churn here. Did they churn or not, right? This is just historical data. Drop it in here, and I can see I've got 1,800 that have churned. But what's that in terms of the percent of total? So let's see what that looks like. And when we close that, we'll see it looks like, based on this data set, 26% of the customers churned in the historical data. Next, I want to see how do these percentages differ across different characteristics of customers. So maybe I look at internet service. Do they have internet service or not, right? A DSL, fiber optic, or not at all? Well, doesn't look nothing really standing out. Everything looks pretty even here. How about payment method? Let's bring in our payment method. Well, looks like there's a bit of a trend of higher churn when we look at those who pay with electronic check. What if I bring in, I don't know, multiple lines here? When I bring in multiple lines, well, that didn't really do much, didn't really change the analytics here, but we're starting to see some characteristics that have an impact on churn. And I'm starting to feel, unfortunately, like I might have to do a lot of this iteration, this ask question, get answer, right? Tableau is really good at that, but I might have to bring in dozens of different combinations of dimensions just to get a sense of where the risk of churn is truly coming from. And on top of that, even if I was able to pinpoint some clear patterns of churn right here in Tableau, how are we going to leverage that information against our existing customers to try to predict and prevent customers from churning? How are we going to surface these insights to our customer success managers who need to know where to take action and where to prioritize their efforts? This is a very complex question. It's a very important one, and it's better answered with a powerful statistical model that can be leveraged right in Tableau existing dashboards for our CSMs to use with ease. And that's where Einstein comes into the program. So I'm going to come here, and hopefully you're seeing Salesforce now. Again, interrupt me if you're not. But I'm in my developer org, just like Amber showed you how to set up. I'm in a developer org here, and I want to go to my Analytics Studio. That's where most of our Tableau CRM and Einstein stuff happens. So here, just like in Tableau, the first thing I need to do if I'm going to analyze data is get data. So I'm going to go to my data manager. One myth about Einstein is that it does not have to be Salesforce data, right? It can be here. I'm using the exact same text file, the CSV file called churn customers. And if I didn't have that, I would bring that in. There's other data sources here, not just flat files and local files. But I want to create a story or a model based on that churn data, right? Here's my historical data. Let's build a model. And Einstein's statistical capabilities here are going to help us focus in on our goal, which in this case is to minimize the number of customers that churn. So we're going to minimize where the churn is yes. We'll go ahead and include insights and predictions. If I know a little bit about my data, I'll go into the manual. Maybe I know there's some fields in here that have no correlation or some redundant fields that I don't want in my model. Maybe I understand models enough to know that I don't want a linear model. I'd rather use a gradient boost or a boost performant or a random forest. Or I want to let Einstein run a model tournament to figure out which one's best. That's going to take a lot longer to run, but I'm just going to use the linear for now, which is the default. What's happening now is Einstein's going behind the scenes. He's crunching through all of your data, looking for patterns that impact churn. What recommendations could it make? In this case, what recommendations can it make to minimize churn? Once it's done with all the number crunching, that's when we get to look behind the model. This would take a few minutes to complete on the set of data that I have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fast forward. I've already created this model seemingly about 100 times in the last 10 days. See it all here. So I've got churned customers. So I'm going to come in here to churn customers, and straight away, I get visual insights. Isn't that a great thing for Tableau heads? So straight away, right, we've got which variables have the highest correlation, contract tenure, right? We can also see over here on the right, which dimensions and combinations of dimensions have the most impact on whether a customer is likely to churn or not likely to churn. So we have the positive and the negative. And we can see contract shows up in here a bunch, payment method shows up here in a bunch. But if we scroll down, there's more insights, right? I can look through and see that for customers whose contract is month to month, they tend to churn at a rate of about 15% higher than the average, right? That's interesting. If we scroll down a little bit further, we can take that to the next level. Those same customers that are on contract month to month, when they pay by electronic check, wow, now we're up to a 63% likelihood that they're going to churn. And we could spend all day in here. We could scroll down. I could go to each one of my variables. But I want to go behind the scenes in the model right now and show you what's behind the curtain. Here's that full transparency, no black box. What I can do is I can evaluate the model, everything from the performance, cross-validation. Maybe I want to look at the model coefficients, and I can see here contract month to month. There it is again, huge impact on the chance to churn, along with a lot of other combinations of fields that maybe aren't so obvious. And I have no idea why it's keeping changing like that. So the last thing I'll show you before I deploy the model, here's the code I can't write. Right? This is what I'm not capable of doing, but Einstein did it for me in like 5 minutes. I promise we wouldn't have waited long for that. We're probably going to wait longer for Ask Data to come up with my spinning machine right now. So that's not bad. We can bring this, we can take it to our data science team. They can look at it and go, wow, that's actually pretty good R code. All right, so that's the R code, but I'm ready to deploy this thing so that I can use it. So we just deploy the model. Einstein's going to ask me a few questions like, do I want to replace the models I keep building and building and building? Sure, let's replace it. Do I want to filter anything? No, I'm good. I don't need to segment this. What about variables here? The things that I'm going to tell my customer or my users that they could do to take action. Well, we're probably not going to make a customer a non-senior citizen, a partner. There's a few more in here too. I don't know, gender, right? Gender may or may not be one, right? So there's things in here where like, I don't want to give a recommendation to change a customer to senior citizens. We take them out of the model. Then we review the model, and then we deploy it. And once we deploy it, this model manager is available. And when I come into the model manager, this is where we're going to find the first technology, the first innovation here. In my settings, I can create a Tableau table calculation right in Einstein, copy it to my clipboard, and drop that into desktop or into a web authoring session. And as long as I've authenticated that desktop or that server to this developer org, I'm pointing it right at the prediction, and it's going to run that across my data. Now, that's just one of 3 of the innovations. You remember the 3 bubbles? I'm going to focus the rest of the demo on the other 2, which is the dashboard extension and prep. But technically, and Amber's probably chomping at the bit on this one, we have 3 options. The other option is I could just upload my full list of current customers right here into Einstein and run that data set against the model that we just created. And that's going to work really good if I'm going to keep that data here in Salesforce. But if I want to bring it out to Tableau, maybe I've got a big Tableau audience, I want to show you now how we can scale that through Tableau Prep. So I'm going to open up Prep Builder. Here I have a flow. I've already a very simple flow. Here's my customer success team, my existing customer, create a join, clean it a little bit. And now I want to bring in my predictive model. So we have this prediction step. I select my prediction definition. I did go ahead and authenticate that. That would ask me to go to my browser and authenticate to the developer org, but I saved a few seconds there by going ahead and doing that. Here's all the different models I have available, and I'm going to select the one I want. Once that becomes available, I now have some options here to include my top predictors and my top improvements, up to 3 of each. I'm going to go ahead and max that out. It also says here I have some mismatched fields. I can see which one it is right here, and I can make the change that I need to make. Now what happens is once I apply this, it's going to run the model through right here on the fly. Now I have new fields. I've got new improvement recommendations. I've got predictor impacts, and I've got this new field called prediction, and I'm going to call this churn rate. This is the predicted churn rate. This is the new field, and what we want to do now is bring this back into Tableau so we can analyze it with this predictive field. So I have options. I can output this flow. I can put it in a data source, external data source, right to something like Snowflake. I can put it in a local file or a local hyper, or I can publish it out to the data or publish it out to server, which I've already done. And this is where this demo may or may not continue to flow this well. So I'm going to come back over here. I'm in the server now. Let's see where I'm at. Let's go explore. You see I'm already having problems. I've got this project called Churn Baby Churn. That's where I've published my data source to. We will go ahead and see if we can create a new workbook here. Let's see, is it going to work with me? I've already got this one up beside it just in case. So actually, I'm going to close this one. You see that wheel spinning on there. Caught it. So in here, I've got the edit up. So I brought up that customer churn with the predictions in it. So if I scroll down, here's that churn rate field that was created. No, it's not a calculation. But let's start to look at our customers here by monthly charges. Let's grab all our customers. Did that even go in? What happened? That was weird. Monthly charges. Try that again. All right, customer name. And I like to flip these, read them top to bottom. And then I can take that churn rate field that was created by our model, drop it right in here. And now I'm able to see the predicted, the customers who are most likely to churn. So I'm able to answer that question very easily, right? And I can also use that churn rate field and create new calculated fields, which I've already done. I've got one that's called risk level in here somewhere. Let's go ahead and look at the copy. And here it's just an if then else. This is the hardest piece of code I write in this entire demo. If greater than 55, then that, else if. Like you're writing those things probably in middle school now. So if then else, that's really easy. That's the whole code. And if I drop that in now, that risk level, I think this is going to get really ugly. I don't think I said, oh no, I do have the colors right. Cool. So you can see my high risk. I can see my low risk right away. Now that was really neat. That was very helpful. We were able to really pick up our analysis here. Instead of jumping between different combinations of filters, characteristics that my gut tells me might answer customer churn, instead we're able to trust that predictive capability, that predicted calculation there, and move forward with the next questions about what to do about high-risk accounts. So now that our data has the Einstein discovery predictions in it, we need to get back to the initial goal here. How do I equip my users to prioritize at-risk accounts, allowing them to deliver intelligent customer service? And to talk about that, I'm going to go to the finished dashboard. I'm going to try to do it here. Let's see how that works out. See if it comes up for us. Drum roll. Give it about 3 seconds. I'm going to bail on it. I'll tell you what I want to do though before I come out of here, because this thing, man, I don't know. Oh, wow, it actually came up. Before I go anywhere, I'm going to open up Ask Data in another web, because I'm going to use that next, and I think that might take a second to come up. But here I am in the dashboard, right? And I have I'll just show exactly where it is. We'll come back to it. Here's the extension put in. I put it in a hidden container. This is not designed to be a how-to to do this, but it's pretty easy. We've got that on our Tableau help site, but I'll close that out. I'm just using a button here to open and close a hidden container. And now it wants to slow down on me, right? So let's say that I'm the director of my organization's customer success team, and I want to understand which of the customers are the highest risk to churn, right? The colors are popping that really easy. And then which of my customer success managers have the most high-risk customers on the plate? And this dashboard does a pretty good job of that. I could click into each of these. I'm going to save time and not do that. We'd see how many high risk and all that. But right here, looking at the entire org, I can see looks like Francine is a high-risk customer. And not only that, she's our number 2 based on monthly charges. So I want to understand what factors make Francine a high risk, what changes could we make to impact that? So here we're going to use the Einstein again. What I'll do here is I'll bring up Einstein one more time. I'll click Francine. I'm using some parameter actions here to push values into the parameters that you see on my Einstein discovery. So here it shows that Francine has about a 70% chance of churn. That is really, really high. I can see how to improve this. There's neat things like, okay, maybe I want to move her to 2 years, and maybe I want to move her to bank transfer automatic. And I'm just going to tell you, I got something wrong in my data here. These should be a lot higher. That's fine. We can work through the demo here. But I can also do things like clicking through other variables. For instance, we know that Francine has no internet service. What would it do to her chances of churn if we talked her into adding DSL? So we'll give that just a couple seconds, and it looked like it dropped a couple points. Maybe that's not where I want to focus. What about payment method? We kept seeing that one earlier. What if I put payment method at credit card automatic? Let's see what that does. So now we're down all the way to 31%, which is a whole lot lower than what we saw previously. That's something I might want to drive. So here we're not making actual changes to the customer in the situation. We're exploring what possible changes we could make. So I just have one more goal here for my users. That's how do I take action on this? So the best way to allow my decision makers to do that is through Ask Data. Here we are in Ask Data. Maybe we want to ask something about the month-to-month customers, right? The payment type. So maybe let's look at the number of customers, I don't know, by payment method. You haven't used our natural language. It's getting better and better. We've got Ask Data 2.0 coming out really soon. But right away here, I can see, okay, how many different customers do I have for each payment method? But remember, we only wanted the high-risk customers, right? So let's look at only high risk, and then we can see the count there. We've got 54. But you know what? Let's look at this. Let's see how much impact is this really. Let's look at the monthly charges here. And I can do some of this with natural language. I like to do the hybrid approach. Like when I exclude things, I could type in only electronic checks, or I could do keep only right here. Right. And what I'm after here is I'm just trying to just hop through here and figure out how many customers, who am I going to send this to, right? Who am I going to reach out to? And I can just type in customer name. It's going to give me all my customer names there. But what I've done now is now we have a list of names of all our high-risk electronic check customers. And now our CSMs are empowered with intelligence to target them with messaging around easier payment methods, right? We don't need to tell them we're trying to get them to not churn. We want to show them all about why there's an easier way to pay. You don't need to cut out a check every month. So with that, I'm going to conclude this demo. What we were able to do there, hopefully you were able to see how Einstein is actually going to supercharge our analysis and take out some of that guesswork for us by bringing Einstein models right into our data with Tableau Prep and into our exploration with the data extensions, the dashboard extensions. We can help Tableau users explore predictive data. And again, the hardest thing I had to write in there was like a simple if-then statement. This is how we intend to bring data science to our customers. This is just the beginning of it, but we want to help you scale AI and data science. With that, I want to say thank you 10 times over. I'm going to hand it back now. I think Chris is going to get us going here, help guide us to the roundtable breakouts. That's where we're going to do a little bit of Q&A. Anything you've seen, heard, even if it's not something, I think that's what we're going to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and digress. Chris, take it over, and thank you all again.
Yeah, I just want to say a quick thank you to Kevin and to Amber and to our 4 finalists, Anna and Bargavi and Kenneth and Jake. Thank you so much. And to all of you who are, we didn't even have an have a job, need a job session this time just because of our shortened time that we had and all the content. But I thought the folks at Deutsche Bank did a fantastic job. And again, all of the contact will be out there. We will have this posted to YouTube here in the next few days. And so I invite you all to rewatch the session. Kevin's presentation, I feel like I'm going to need to watch it a few more times just to digest everything. But fantastic job, everyone. We look forward to having you all in Q3. If you would stay around, if you are you're still here, you're still with us, and you want to network, I'm going to ask all of our finalists to go find a table, not the same table, but find a different table. And then Kevin and Amber are going to find tables here, and so we will all be on the in the floor. So go find a table, meet somebody, spend as much time. We have this room until 6:30. So go find somebody you haven't met before, introduce yourself. Q3, we are planning hybrid, back in person, but we'll still have a virtual element. So I hope to see you all in Q3. Stay tuned for a lot more information, and we'll see you on the floor. See you there, Amber. Thanks again, Amber and Kevin. All right, presentation's going off.